My boyfriend of 3 years and I had our first baby. We're white, our baby is black. I had to prove my baby was mine through a DNA test after he accused me of cheating. I was absolutely thrilled when I saw those two pink lines. Ryan and I had talked about starting a family, but I never expected it so soon. At 26 and 29, we thought we were young, but ready. We really did. We spent hours dreaming, discussing names, nursery colors, even car seats. Everything felt so right, like our lives were perfectly falling into place. My dream was to raise our daughter, Lily, with all the love and happiness we had. Ryan was kind, thoughtful, and so excited to be a dad. He seemed absolutely over the moon, just like me. Giving birth to Lily was more incredible than I ever imagined. That moment you hold your baby for the first time? It slows time. It quiets the entire world. She's finally here, I remember thinking, looking at her wrinkled, soft skin. Love just flooded me. Ryan held my hand, staring at her, and I'll never forget the look on his face, like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. He kissed my forehead and said, "She's perfect." Everything seemed perfect. For a while, everything was fine. The nurses and doctors praised how healthy she was. We were exhausted, sure, but so giddy. We were a family. Then, back in our private room, as Ryan held Lily, something shifted. I watched him, sitting beside him, soaking in the quiet except for the beeps of machines. But he was too still, too quiet. He looked like he was searching for something on her face and not finding it. Then he asked it. A question I never, ever expected. "Why does she look like that?" I thought I misheard him. He couldn't have meant what I thought. He didn't even look at me when I tried to catch his eye, his gaze fixed on Lily. "You mean, what?" I managed to ask, my voice shaky, that familiar flutter of uncertainty starting in my chest. "Her skin," he whispered. "It's dark. And her hair. It's curly." "How's that possible?" My heart plummeted. It felt like a punch to the face. All the joy, all the excitement, vanished in an instant. He wasn't looking at our baby, he was looking at a puzzle. I forced myself to take a deep breath, my mind racing. "Ryan," I whispered, trying to sound calm, "my great-great-grandfather was black. My aunts, cousins, they have curly hair, darker skin. It happens." He just stared blankly at me. No thought, no pause. His eyes were different now. "I don't know," he mumbled, looking back at Lily, almost surprised by her appearance. It was so different. My pulse quickened. I sensed an unexpected storm brewing. Gently, I took Lily from his arms, her warmth a small comfort against my chest. But Ryan kept going. "Are you sure she's mine?" His voice cracked, soft and disbelieving. "I mean, are you certain?" My chest tightened. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. Really? Was the man I trusted for 3 years, the man I was building a family with, actually asking if I cheated? I looked at him, heart pounding, trying to hide the searing pain. "Ryan," I said carefully, "you know I've never cheated on you." He shook his head, still looking at Lily. "I have no idea how she looks like this. She's too different. What am I supposed to think?" That's when it hit me. The absolute deception. He was sowing doubt. And it was shocking. Here we were, hours after our daughter's birth, and he was accusing me. "Sorry," he mumbled. "As much as I hate to think it, I have to. I'm confused." I took a deep, shuddering breath. I had to stay calm, for Lily, for myself. But inside, everything was falling apart. My partner, the man who was supposed to be my rock, was questioning me and our daughter. I tried to explain again, but his eyes glazed over. His interest waned. He was already convinced. That moment Ryan asked if Lily was his changed everything. I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't comprehend what I was hearing. All those happy times, planning our future, talking about marriage, dreaming of kids, and he was accusing me of something I didn't do, hours after our baby was born. "I don't get it," Ryan stammered, shaking his head. "How's this possible? I thought I knew you. I thought I understood us, but this baby, she's confusing." "Ryan, please," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I told you about my family. So many relatives have curly hair and darker skin. It's in our genes. This is how Lily turned out." He wasn't listening. He started pacing, running his hands through his hair in frustration. I don't care about cousins, he snapped. I care about us. How could this happen between us? His jaw tightened as he stared at the floor. Emma, I don't understand. Why didn't you say? Why didn't you tell me our baby might look like this? I had no idea. I yelled, then stopped myself, my heart pounding with pain and confusion. She looks different than I expected, too. But I told you about my great-great-grandfather. I thought you understood. My blood, my family. I trailed off. How was I teaching him basic biology right now? This wasn't happening. We'd always resolved our issues, but this broke something fundamental inside me. I tried to suppress my rising anger. Nothing was helping. Ryan, why? I trembled. Why are you pretending this baby isn't yours? She is yours. We made her together. I've always been honest with you. His eyes were cold, distant, when he finally stopped pacing. I don't know what to think, he muttered. I thought I knew you, but I don't know. He threw his hands up. I can't explain it. I don't know why she looks that way. So different. My stomach sank. You're saying what? I asked, feeling the words hit me like physical blows. You think I cheated? I didn't say that, he lowered his voice, trying to convince himself, but Emma, explain it another way. I don't understand what happened. Our daughter, our baby, her appearance is so different from mine. Different from us. I need to know if she's not mine. The blood drained from my face. I couldn't breathe. He ignored me, staring at Lily, his mind clearly racing. No, I whispered, shaking my head. Ryan, you're wrong. She's yours. She is ours, and I didn't cheat. I adore you. I love both of you. A decision hardened in his eyes. He watched Lily sleep peacefully, unaware of the storm. I need a paternity test, he said, his voice flat, cold. I need proof. Without proof, I don't think I can stay. I froze. He wanted to test me? After everything we'd planned? My world was crumbling. You want me to prove she's yours? I laughed, a bitter, painful sound. Fine, Ryan. Take the damn test. No need to ask. But I should never have to prove this. I've never lied to you. Ryan hesitated, then nodded, as if he couldn't hear my voice or my pain. I'll take the paternity test. If she's mine, I might believe you again, he said, his voice dead. He questioned everything we had and wanted me to prove my love for him, for our family. I felt broken beyond repair, regardless of the test. Though I tried to stay calm, tears finally came. They hurt for the moment, and for the realization that everything I thought we had, everything I trusted, was now in question. I held Lily, wondering how it all went so wrong, as Ryan didn't call or speak to me afterward. Ryan's paternity test request hung in the air like a curse. I couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play. As I held Lily, I tried to understand his behavior. Why hadn't he told me his suspicions before? Why did he let them fester until our daughter was born? In the sudden, crushing silence, memories flooded back. Little moments I had dismissed, but now felt like pieces of a larger, uglier puzzle. I almost heard her voice. Months ago, we'd told Ryan's mom, Diane, that we were pregnant. I didn't notice it then, but now I couldn't ignore how her attitude must have affected Ryan. Diane was going to be my mother-in-law, so I tried to be friendly, but I always felt uneasy around her. She saw me as an imposter, someone unfit for her son. When Ryan called her about the pregnancy, Diane was cold. You don't know what you're getting into, she'd said. I ignored it then, thinking maybe she was just anxious about becoming a grandmother. But the comments kept coming. It's hard to count how often Diane made small, undermining remarks about our relationship and about me. She'd mock Ryan for settling, making me feel inferior. I'd laugh it off, thinking she was just snarky. Right. Now, I saw much, much more. Diane would look at me strangely, judgingly. One afternoon, at a family gathering at her house, her teacup on the table, she'd asked, So, Emma, where do you think your baby's hair will come from? Your genes or... Her silence was so accusatory. I just awkwardly laughed and said, We'll see. I didn't want to make waves, I wanted to make her family work. But I heard her subtle insinuation, my family might make our baby turn out differently. I thought she was just odd, the kind of person who liked to dissect everything, right? But it was more than occasional comments. It was ongoing tension. Diane never said anything outright, but her looks, her references to people like me, showed she was waiting to question everything. A few months before Lily was born, the comment that truly hit me hard came. Diane, who had been strangely quiet during a discussion about baby names at her house, suddenly interjected, "I just hope this baby doesn't have what." She didn't need to finish. She meant exactly what I thought. It was her subtle way of saying she didn't want our baby to look like me or anyone from my family. No one should look like one of them, was the unspoken message. I've never felt so insignificant in front of someone I was supposed to respect. Ryan was right there. He said nothing. He was unaffected. He didn't defend us. He disregarded his mother's insults. That moment should have changed him, but he just dismissed it as another comment. I thought everything would work itself out after Lily was born. I thought the pure happiness of having our baby would erase any doubts or negativity. But Ryan's questioning of our daughter's paternity topped everything his mother had fed him for months or even years. When our daughter was born and her skin tone and features didn't match his expectations, it felt like everything fell into place for him. Diane's poisoned words had finally gotten to him, threatening my loyalty, my love. It was his mother's racism and hatred that had complicated our relationship from the start. The flashbacks kept me from seeing him clearly. I realized Ryan had internalized his mother's negativity, and I had been blind to it. He let her words fester, without telling me, until Lily was born. As I steadied my shaking hands, I whispered, "I never knew you felt this way. You've always doubted me and us." You said nothing. You hid it by listening to her instead of me. Ryan showed no guilt, too little to fix the damage his mother had done. I felt utterly betrayed as he stared at me, at Lily, and at the wreckage his silence had caused. Chaos followed Ryan's paternity test demand. He left the hospital without saying goodbye. He barely acknowledged me or the baby. His shoulders were stiff, his face cold as he walked out. It wasn't his style. A stranger had replaced the man I thought I knew, abandoning me. I held Lily to my chest in that sterile hospital room, trying to understand what had happened. My mind raced, from a happy family to this, in a few short hours. We'd imagined our daughter, and now Ryan had left, leaving me with our baby. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. This was just a temporary rough patch, right? The silence was deafening, the pain incredibly real. I saw his phone. Nothing. No text, no message. No, sorry, or I'll be back soon. Just nothing. The next day, I called him, my heart in my throat. 3 rings, then voicemail. Shaking, I left a message. "I'm not sure what's happening, but I need to talk to you, Ryan. Just come home. I don't know what I want. We have to resolve this." I needed to hear his voice, to know everything was fine. My calls went unanswered. My texts were read, but no reply. Later that day, I texted more desperately. "I love you, Ryan. Please speak to me. I don't understand. Please, I need you." Nothing. On the 3rd day, the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I had failed to engage him. No reply, no calls, nothing. My screaming felt like I was alone in a room. He was sitting quietly, not checking in. I thought, he's done it. How? How could he ignore me at my worst? His silence meant more. It meant I wasn't worth fighting for. It rendered our years, our memories, our plans worthless. I felt worthless to him. He failed to correct it. With Lily in my arms, I watched the empty parking lot from the window. How did we get here? It seemed like someone else owned the good times now. When I tried to remember them, someone else, those without pain over time, isolation increased. I called several times, but got no response. My voice felt like it was echoing in an empty void. Every time I saw Lily, I felt so incredibly lonely. Ryan's absence consumed me, distracting me from just being her mom. Everything was eaten. I wondered what went wrong. Did I deserve this? Was it my fault? I questioned every word, every gesture I made. Could I have missed something that led us here? I replayed his words, his accusations, over and over, trying to pinpoint what went wrong. Was it my appearance? Was it my family? I couldn't comprehend it. Ryan's absence hurt the most. He was the only person I trusted to help me. Now he was gone. I tried to stay calm for Lily. I had to. She deserved better than this. So small, so innocent. But it was hard. My pain was unbearable. Every time I looked at her, I saw a future I couldn't give her. And it broke me. On the third night, I sat in bed with her, trying to calm her fussing. The tears came unexpectedly. I made no effort to stop them. I let them fall. I cried for our relationship, our life, and the trust that was shattered in an instant. Ryan's silence spoke louder than any words. This final blow told me everything. He wasn't ready to fight for us. It seemed he didn't want to listen or understand. As I held our baby, I realized I might have to raise her alone. The days before the paternity test blurred. The dread in my chest persisted. The test would confirm my suspicion that Lily was Ryan's. But a small, scared part of me wondered, what if it didn't? What if the test shattered everything? I kept telling myself it was just my anxiety, but the fear was relentless. I scheduled the test, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy despite my mental chaos. Ryan barely spoke to me after the argument. He texted the time and location, but little else. His responses were stiff, detached, like he was going through the motions. The worst part? He never asked how I was feeling. No care for me or Lily, just silent, cold acceptance. On test day, I felt like I was walking through thick fog. I couldn't see the path ahead, but I knew I had to proceed. It was no longer about proving Ryan wrong, it was about proving myself right. I needed assurance that the truth would, somehow, fix everything. When we met at the doctor's office, I could feel the immense distance between us. He ignored me when I entered. He sat with his arms crossed, staring at the floor, unreadable. It felt like I wasn't even there. No words came to mind when I wanted to say something. What else was there to say? What could fix such deep-seated doubts? After the nurse called us in, I held Lily in the waiting room while Ryan gave his sample in the back. I tried to chat with the nurse, but I was so distracted. I kept thinking about Ryan's empty eyes. I wanted him to look at me, to say something genuine. Please, just show me you still care, that we still have something to fight for. When he returned, he still ignored me. He ignored Lily when I held her up. He just sat back down, staring at the floor, tapping his foot nervously. Our silence was so thick, I could barely breathe. The nurse asked him to stay for a few minutes after the sample was taken to discuss details. But Ryan didn't hesitate. Without even looking at the nurse, he stood up. "I'm good," he muttered. "Ryan?" I said, trying to stay calm despite my inner turmoil. "Can we just talk? You're ignoring me and her. You have no interest in what happens here." He remained silent. He just grabbed his jacket and left without another word. I watched him go, heartbroken. The man I loved for 3 years, the man I thought was my partner, had just ignored his daughter. He couldn't even apologize. As I held our baby in that sterile examination room, I felt like everything was falling apart. I had taken the test to prove my innocence to him. Now, I wasn't so sure. The test wouldn't close the gap. It wouldn't fix our broken trust or his coldness. The nurse returned with a smile after a few minutes. I forced one back, but it didn't reach my eyes. "He left?" she asked, looking at the door. I nodded, trying to hold back tears. "Yeah," I whispered. "He just left." "Like that?" "He's probably just stressed," the nurse said gently. But I could tell she didn't know how to respond. "It's a big deal. People respond differently," she tried to reassure me. But I knew better. It wasn't just stress. It was more broken and deeper. Our doubts, fear, and distance were always there. The paternity test was just another step towards something I couldn't fix. A few days later, the test results came in. I called Ryan immediately, hoping he would want to be there for the truth. "I have the results," I said into the phone, trying to sound confident. Almost an hour later, I received a text. "I'll come over." When he arrived, I could tell he was nervous. His eyes were red, like he hadn't slept. My heart raced as I held the small, sterile paper. Deep down, I knew what it would say, but a part of me hoped I was wrong. Maybe it was a bad dream, a misunderstanding that would resolve everything. "No," There wasn't. Positive. It stared back at me when I opened the envelope. The child was his. Ryan had fathered our daughter, Lily. He was expressionless when I looked up. Silent at first. He stood there, frozen, staring at the paper as if it could erase everything he had been thinking for days. His hands shook, as if his whole world had collapsed. His shoulders hunched, and I wondered if he would cry, scream, or leave again. Then, the tears came. I had never seen him cry before, but he broke down in front of me. He looked guilty, ashamed, as if he couldn't believe he'd let things get so far. He shook, covering his face with his hands. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry." At that moment, I understood. His tears went beyond just the test results. I think he was crying because he knew the damage was done, all the doubt, the pain, the distance he had caused me. No test could repair our broken trust. I stood there, test results in hand, unsure what to say. I wanted to shout at him so many words, but they wouldn't come. I was too shocked, too broken. Instead of the relief I had hoped for, I was overwhelmed by grief. I shouldn't have doubted you," he whispered, heavy with guilt. I was so confused, not sure what to think. I swallowed hard, holding back my own tears. Though regretful, his words felt hollow. "You accused me of cheating, Ryan. You questioned our daughter, our family. Do you think I'd hurt you?" He stared at me with guilt-filled, bloodshot eyes. "I don't know what happened," he said, slightly ashamed. I had no idea how to react. I thought maybe something was wrong that I missed. "You didn't see anything." I yelled, "Ryan, you didn't talk to me. You didn't ask me. You choked on my words. You trusted your mother." That's when I realized what I hadn't seen until then. It wasn't just about the baby. It went beyond the test. It was about everything. It was about his mother. Ryan's eyes shifted, and I could tell he knew I'd hit a nerve. "I didn't think she could influence me like that," he whispered. "But she did. She kept saying I should doubt you. That something was wrong. She kept saying you were unworthy, indifferent, not knowing how to fight. I should have followed you. I should have trusted you." A chill ran down my spine. It no longer mattered that I had ignored Diane's comments or tried to be polite. Only Ryan listening to her mattered. He let her poison his mind, causing a rift I didn't think we could heal. "And you never told me," I said, my voice shaky. "You hid everything from me. You let her influence you without ever telling me." "I know," Ryan whispered. "I know. I'm sorry. I just wasn't sure what I thought. This is my mom. Maybe I wanted to please her, not wanting to disappoint her." I laughed bitterly, the words cutting. "So, you favored her opinion over mine? Over us?" Ryan frowned. No, that's not it." He shook his head desperately. I don't know, Emma." I had no idea how to react. "Scared?" I repeated, furious. "You were scared of her, but not of losing me? Not of destroying our family?" Ryan was quiet. I felt the weight of the conversation pressing us down. His tears were no longer just regret. He was recognizing the harm, his fault, and how much Diane had contributed to our ruin with her poison. "I messed up, Emma," Ryan choked out. "Not trusting you was wrong. By distrusting us, I should never have let her influence me." I breathed, trying to process the past few days. My anger and exhaustion felt raw and painful. I had gone through so much to defend myself, to prove my innocence. Following everything, it felt like rebuilding was impossible. I whispered, "I don't know if I can just forgive you, Ryan. This how you treated me is unforgettable. I need time. You must see the damage." Ryan nodded slowly, regret evident in his eyes. "Yes, I understand. I'll fix it however it takes." But the damage was done. Trust was broken. I wanted to believe we could heal and fix everything, but I knew it would be incredibly hard. It takes time to rebuild trust. Ryan's request to hold Lily surprised me. I wasn't ready to let him back in after the accusations, the silence, and the betrayal. His tentative, vulnerable voice made me hesitate. He wasn't demanding this time, not rushing to be forgiven. He seemed to be asking permission to rejoin our daughter's life, which he had almost abandoned. "Please, Emma, can I hold her?" Ryan shakily asked, his eyes still red from crying. "I need to hold my daughter. My heart ached. I wanted to decline. He'd broken my trust, lost his place in this family. It felt too late to just let him back in. But I couldn't. No matter what, I knew he deserved a chance to connect with Lily, his daughter. I wasn't sure I could, because I was so angry and hurt. Emma, please, Ryan begged. I want nothing from you. I just want to support her. Please. I calmed myself by breathing deeply. I did this for Lily. I wouldn't upset her. Her parents should have tried and cared. I had to forgive Ryan despite my doubts. I could limit his fatherhood, but not stop it. I could ensure he understood before fixing things. All right, I said softly, walking to Lily's crib. Ryan must understand first, not just return to her life. You can't just resume here. Not after all this. Ryan nodded regretfully. He didn't argue. He didn't pretend everything was fine. He sat, waiting. I carefully took Lily from her crib and gave her to him. He softened as he held her, looking at her tiny face. The tears returned, but they were different now. They went beyond guilt to something he'd ignored for too long. Heart heavy, I watched him carefully, a fragile hope flickering. Maybe we can fix this. But I couldn't forgive him immediately. His treatment of me was unforgettable. He let his mother's words sully our relationship. I couldn't ignore it and pretend we were fine. Want to go home? I asked, breaking the silence. Ryan, is that your goal? Returning here and fixing such issues? He stared at me, emotional. I do, Emma. Actually, I do. My home for the past few days has been hostile. Your and Lily's absence matters. Home is my aim. I want to fix this. I swallowed hard, fighting the bursting emotions. Ryan, you may not understand. You can't just return and act like everything is fine. Do not walk in as if nothing happened. More than apologizing is needed. You have to prove your commitment. Fight for us. I will, he said abruptly. I'll do anything. I swear, Emma, we'll seek therapy. We'll do whatever is needed. That stopped me. Therapy. He finally realized we needed help fixing this. It wasn't guaranteed to restore my trust, but it was progress. All right, I kept my voice steady. Therapy will happen. But you won't fix this by attending a few sessions and leaving. We'll take time. Live. I understand. He nodded strongly. I know. I'll do anything. I stared at him, trying to see if he truly meant it. It was unclear. He had said and broken so much. I couldn't leave. His mother kept me from throwing away everything we had built. Something remained, but I wouldn't help him. He had to explain himself before I let him back in. There's one more thing, I said quietly but firmly. Your mother. She must apologize before visiting this house or Lily in person. She must apologize for everything she's said about me and our baby. However long it takes, before then, she's not welcome. Ryan lowered his face, looking conflicted. He wouldn't choose me over his mom? Not negotiable, I stated. Diane had damaged our relationship enough. I wouldn't let her do it again. Okay, he said after a long pause, his voice thick. We'll talk to her. Tell her to apologize. You're right, Emma. Do that. She must. Apologize for everything. I nodded, feeling a tiny bit better, but still overwhelmed. This was just the beginning. Completely starting over was hard. It would be hard to forgive Ryan for letting his mother manipulate him and doubt me. But I was willing to try for Lily. For us. He shifted Lily and gave her back to me, almost anticipating my next move. All right, I took Lily from him. Start therapy. There's a long road ahead. If you want to fix this, show me daily that you're willing to work. Ryan nodded determinedly. I will. I promise. Promises didn't seem enough anymore. I could only take things day by day. As I held Lily, her soft body against me, I realized how much had changed. I had lost our relationship and our future in just a few days. I thought Ryan and I would always be together. We laughed, fought, planned, and dreamed about our baby. I wondered if any of it was real. Ryan sat stiff and red-eyed across from me. He knelt with his fists clenched, bracing for what was to come. I sensed the tension in the room as we processed everything. I've laid out what needs to happen for us to move forward, Ryan, I said, despite my emotions. We'll start therapy. You must be punctual and honest. Stop hiding things from me. Tell your mom what she did, and she needs to apologize to me in person. Ryan, pale but determined, nodded. I will. I promise. However, his words and promises felt faded now. Their comfort and strength had declined. Every time he spoke, I doubted. How could I trust him again? How could I trust the man who unknowingly brought his mother's toxicity into our relationship? How could I trust him when he broke down and questioned everything we built for the first time? I forced myself to breathe deeply, to think clearly. This was bigger than just Ryan about me. I had to decide whether to fight for this or him. The pain he caused made me question forgiving him. Was this relationship worth saving? Ryan, I need you to understand something, I said quietly. Therapy and empty apologies won't help. You've lost my trust. How you hurt me is inexplicable. You doubted us, not just me. This is unforgettable. You let your mom's words rule everything. Ryan mumbled, I know. With regret. I'm sorry. Making it up to you will take my life. We'll do anything. I love you, Emma. I need you. Though quieter, his words struck me. I love you felt hollow now. Like another phrase he thought would fix everything. I really wanted to trust him. I wanted to believe we could overcome this, rebuild our relationship, and be my dream family. But it was hard. Looking down at Lily's tiny hand on my finger, my heart broke again. She deserved better. We both did. Would I let go of the hurt and anger to make this work? Was I willing to give Ryan one more chance to prove himself? I'm not going to pretend this is easy, I told him. I won't forget everything, but I'll try. For us. For Lily. Ryan was hopeful, but his eyes showed uncertainty. He knew it wasn't assured. He knew I was giving him one last chance, but it was fragile. A delicate promise that could break if he didn't keep his word and truly earn back my trust. I understand, Ryan whispered. I seized this chance. It'll be fixed however it takes. I looked at him, weighing my options, my feelings, and our future. The past few days had broken me, but I loved him. Still, I wanted to believe in our future together, not just the apology. It went beyond therapy. He had to act to prove his commitment to making this work and undoing the damage. I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of my decision settle in my chest. Okay, I said, my voice steady but uncertain. We'll try. But you need to understand that it won't be easy, and I'm not going to pretend that everything is fine right away. This will take time. It's going to take a lot of work, and I need you to be there every step of the way. Ryan nodded, his face softening. I get it, and I'll do it. I won't let you down again. As I looked at him, part of me still felt broken. Trust had been shattered, and it would take time to rebuild it. But for the first time in days, I felt a sliver of hope. Maybe we could fix this, heal, and be the family we always dreamed of. As I held Lily, I knew there were no guarantees. This was just the beginning of a long road of uncertainty, hurt, and rebuilding. And I wasn't sure we'd make it. But I was willing to try, for her and for what we once were. Tell me, what would you have done in my place? Had you ever faced such a profound betrayal from someone you loved? I really want to know what you think.